Hey, what's going on, guys? Alex here with TFL Bike.
And Case.
And we've got some really exciting news today because there is an all-new sport bike. It's an all-new engine, all-new motorcycle coming from Aprilia. It is the RS457, and we're going to go through everything we know about it in this video.
And this is especially exciting because this is going to be most likely the most entry-level Aprilia in their lineup. So something that's going to be a little bit more accessible to a lot of people and in a category of bikes that is really popular right now, a smaller displacement sport bike.
Yeah, and we'll talk about small displacement sport bikes a little at the end of this video and how this compares to some of the other ones. But yeah, an affordable Italian motorcycle should be really awesome and something you don't see too often. So yeah, let's jump right into some of the specs and what we know.
Yeah, so let's start off with that new motor. So first things first, 47 horsepower, and it's a dual overhead cam parallel twin, like a lot of other bikes in this segment. It's available with an accessory quick shifter, and greatest thing about this bike from our perspective is that it's 385 pounds wet weight with a full tank of fuel. So this is a lightweight bike.
Yeah, 385 pounds is super light. And I would imagine this is gonna be a very narrow motorcycle too. So I just can't wait to throw a leg over this because it just seems like it's gonna be one of the most flickable bikes ever. So that's really cool. Design is also something I wanna touch on a little bit because to me, this bike has a big bike look. A lot of times when you see these entry-level sport bikes, they look really dumbed down. They have basic tubular frames. This has a really nice looking aluminum frame, and it reminds you of an RS660 or an RS-V4, and even like the front fairing and the headlight. All the bodywork, it just looks like a smaller version of their more flagship bikes, which is awesome. That's the way to get people excited about a small displacement bike.
Yeah, and that big bike energy, that extends to the engineering behind this as well, because the crankcase on this bike is a load-bearing part, like on the bigger RS660 from Aprilia, so they're putting some real effort into the engineering behind this. And we also have to talk about some of the other components that are on this bike as well, like suspension.
Yeah, so looking at the suspension, we've got 41 millimeter inverted forks, so good for sport riding, rear monoshock. Don't know exact details on what is adjustable, but I would imagine you'll have some basic adjustability in there, but we'll just have to wait and see for that. And then as far as your brakes and tires go, it's a single-sided disc up front, so you only have one disc, one caliper, but it's a 320 millimeter disc and a 4-piston bi-brake caliper, so bi-Brembo. And then 220 millimeter disc out at the rear, also with a bi-brake caliper.
Yeah, and it would be nice to have dual discs up front, but at least it is a higher end brake because, you know, bi-brake is Brembo's more entry-level product, but still nice components. And
there's nothing else in this class has dual brakes up front either.
Yeah,
so
that's fair. I mean, on something that you might potentially ride on the track, it would be nice to have. But again, these are more entry-level, affordable bikes. So there's only so much that you can ask for, but there's also a decent amount of tech on this bike.
Yeah, and the tech is what gets me really excited because when you compare this to something like a Ninja 400, the tech on this bike just blows that out of the water, and it all starts with the screen. So you get a nice color screen up front. You don't have an analog tack, which I do like to see on a lot of sport bikes, but there's a lot of info there. So you get different ride modes, and there's 3 of them, and that'll change the engine mapping, the power delivery, the torque delivery, and traction control modes, all with kind of one universal mode switch there, and that's all being displayed through a pretty good looking 5-inch TFT display.
Yeah, and you also have ABS with 2 different settings, so you can have it working on the front and rear wheels, or you can have it front only, and that's pretty typical for an Aprilia.
Yeah, something they've definitely done a bunch, and I think that's really cool. I'm a huge believer in ABS on street bikes, and I'm also a huge believer in having fun and skidding out the rear tires. So yeah, it's awesome that you can kind of have both of those at the same time, still back it out a little bit, and yeah, just have fun, but know that if you need to grab a handful of front brake because the car in front of you is being dumb, you've got the safety there to do it.
Now, we mentioned earlier in this video that this is a category of bikes that's kind of been blowing up, and it does seem like people are really getting a kick out of some of these smaller displacement bikes because they are a ton of fun in the corners, and this is something that's especially true for guys like Alex who ride on the track. Your first track bike was an RC390, and that is 100% in this class. So if you're looking to get into track riding, a bike like this is something that's potentially perfect.
Like Case just said, there's the Ninja 400, which starts at around $5,700 for the ABS model. Makes slightly less horsepower, 45 horsepower. And then there's also the new RC390, which came out not too long ago. A little more expensive than the Cowie at $58.99, makes 44 horsepower. Now, this Aprilia, I think, is going to be more expensive than both of those. They're, you know, it's first of all, just a more luxurious brand. You've got more tech on this bike, more advanced frame on this bike. Right now, the cheapest Aprilia is right around 11 grand, being the Tuono 660. I don't think we're going to quite see pricing go that high, because then you're into like ZX4RR pricing.
Yeah, and the ZX4RR is an inline four. It's not a parallel twin like this. It's got really high-end components and suspension and everything. So that's sort of a different class of bikes. We're not seeing this being a competitor to a motorcycle like that, so probably closer to the pricing on like a Ninja 400 or an RC390. But yeah, we're looking at something that's more premium, slightly bigger displacement, a little bit more horsepower. So it is almost certainly going to be more expensive than those bikes that are just under $6,000, but hopefully not significantly more expensive. I think if they want to be competitive, if they could keep it under 7 grand, then
I think they need to keep it under 7 grand.
Yeah, then it could be pretty compelling, depending on how you want to use it and what your priorities are.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about this. I mean, small displacement bikes have been absolutely blowing up. Speaking of blowing up, I just blew up the motor on my R6, and I am looking...
So you gotta buy something.
I'm looking to get a new track bike, and I think I've, you know, kind of spent my time on the pretty slow track bikes like this. I don't think I'd want to go this slow anymore unless I were, you know, entering races. But that 660 that Aprilia makes, I've got my eyes on that, because I kind of want to jump up to something a little more premium. All the tech kind of fascinates me. And the R6 is crazy fast. I don't need to go that fast on the track, I don't think. So,
well, especially yours, because, well, before it blew up, it was cammed, and I had a lot of work done to it. I mean, probably, what, double the original price of the bike in parts,
probably more.
Triple. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it was a crazy expensive build that the guy
you didn't have to pay all that,
exactly.
luckily.
Yeah, but I mean, I really hope I get the chance to throw a leg over one of these, and I think I will. Imperial Sport Bikes is kind of our local Aprilia dealership here, and they're usually out at all the track days I go to, and they bring demo bikes. So if you want to potentially ride one of these, or, you know, an RS660 or an RSV4 or a Tuono on a racetrack, and come ride with me. Come out to one of those Legion Moto days. I'm sure as soon as this bike comes out, they'll bring one to the track. But we don't know exactly when it's going to hit. We don't know exactly what the price is going to be, but take your best guess in the comments. Yeah,
there's still a lot of specs that are yet to be revealed on this bike, but still really exciting to see that there's another player in this category, because, you know, 400, 500 class races are really popular, and it is just a good size motorcycle to be riding aggressively because it is so small and so light. You know, you can be really fast through the corners if you're a track guy like this guy.
And speaking of small displacement bikes, I mean, we're probably going to have news coming pretty soon, too, about this new Suzuki that uses the 8S motor. They're making a fully fared parallel twin sport bike as well. So these little parallel twins, they're taking off, man, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, the more competition in this space, the better.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Check out alltfl.com. Hopefully we'll get some seat time on this soon. Let us know what other kind of riding videos you want to see us close out our season with, and we'll catch you in the next video.